Good evening and welcome to Character Building. I'm Lauren Kennedy Brady. I'm the producing artistic director at Theatre Raleigh, and you are in for such a great show. We have a Tony Award winner, Raleigh's own Beth Leavel is with me tonight, so tell your friends to tune in. They are not going to want to miss this conversation. I could not be more excited to speak with her. If I had any role models or any people that I looked up to when I was a kid, it was her. And I cannot wait to share this conversation with you tonight. So thank you for joining us on YouTube. And while you're here, please subscribe to this channel because we're doing a lot of virtual programming, especially during COVID. We've been bringing you Living Room Live. We've been bringing you character building and reunion specials. So we are trying to engage our audience, make sure that you know that we are still here and we are coming back soon, live and in person. But we're going to continue doing these virtual performances because it's been a great way to connect with the greater audience, even outside of Raleigh. So if you're here and you're watching and you like what we're doing, subscribe to Theatre Raleigh's YouTube channel. We have 838 subscribers. Help us get 1,000. And also, I always say, please donate while you're here as well. We have been getting through okay, and we're getting ready to start doing our shows, like I said. But we could use all the help that you can give us. And instead of a ticket for this opportunity to see Beth Leavel, we just ask that you donate to Theatre Raleigh, whatever you feel like you can and whatever you feel like is significant to you. So thank you so much for that. And I really do appreciate you just tuning in and watching these shows. And I get to share these incredible talents with you. And selfishly, I get to have these conversations with some pretty wonderful people. And like I said, tonight we have Beth Leavel. She is Raleigh's own Tony winner. She went to Broughton High School. She went to Meredith College. She is literally from our area, and we couldn't be more proud of her. And here she is to talk with us tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, Beth Leavel.
Woo-hoo!
There she is.
Oh my gosh. What
Hi.
a sweet introduction. Thank you. And, watching your intro, watching all the theater, it was like, oh my gosh, I miss it so much. So I can't wait to get back. So.
Oh my God. Well, I couldn't be happier that you're here with me tonight. And obviously, you know, I feel like my theater career started watching you. When I started doing main stage shows at North Carolina Theater, you were starring in every show. And I just felt like I had a really cool window into what the professional world would one day hold for me, maybe, if I was lucky enough.
That's so sweet. I'm glad. I just remember little Lauren Kennedy. Now look at Lauren Kennedy Brady. Oh, congratulations on Theatre Raleigh and everything. It's so exciting.
It's pretty exciting. I mean, we're doing a lot of cool things, like I said, at Theatre Raleigh. Our shows are getting ready to come back up, but we're also using this very new, brand new Theatre Raleigh Arts Center space to rent to other companies. So not only are we able to do our own shows, but we can, you know, lift some other companies up alongside us and feel like we have a really exciting, vibrant, artistic scene right here in this building. So
yeah, well, can I just say that when I was growing up in Raleigh, I wish Theatre Raleigh had been there.
Oh, really? Well, what were the theaters you worked at when you were like coming along?
You know, there wasn't that many, to be perfectly honest with you. I went to Meredith, and there was a thriving theater program there. But my first musical ever, my first foray into what would become, you know, my passion and my career was at Broughton High School, where I did Brigadoon my senior year. That was the first time ever. I was such a late bloomer.
Oh,
and then
my gosh.
You remember, I don't know, you guys that are doing high school musicals, when you rehearse a high school musical, I just remember this was completely new territory for me. And I walked into what I kind of remember, I'm sure it was like the band room, because it was ginormous. And what do you rehearse, like 6 years before you actually do a weekend
and do like 2 shows
before you do 2 shows. But I just remember even that first moment of being in this a whole new world. Don't you dare. Thinking, where have these people been all of my life? And how can I stay in this oxygen for the rest of my life? And,
Oh my God, that is,
blah, blah, blah. But I did
no, that is so
Raleigh
right.
Little Theater. I did something in North Carolina State, Meredith, and then I went to UNCG and got my MFA in acting and directing. But there was no Theater Raleigh, and there was really no NCT. So, yay, Raleigh. Yay, I'm so thrilled.
I mean, it is exciting that we have grown so much since
So much.
back in the day. Even in, my day, I graduated from Broughton High School as well in 1991. We probably performed on those same boards in that same auditorium. But the theater scene really has changed here so much, and it is a really exciting and vital place because of Deanne Jones and because of Ira David Wood and, all the people at Raleigh Little Theater. So it's exciting for me to come back and be a part of it because it's really what helped me be the artist that I, that I ultimately became, and obviously you too. So that's pretty cool. And I feel like I have seen that you have committed to coming back to North Carolina and supporting this community. So that's, we thank you for that.
Always.
Yeah, I mean,
always.
So let's do a little walk down Beth Leavel memory lane. Because, I have been following your career my entire life, and I feel like I know that you made your Broadway debut in 42nd Street. Am I correct?
That is correct. I was cast in the national tour. It was my first break, and I stayed out with it for about 7 months, and then the role of Anytime Annie opened in New York on Broadway, and they asked me to come and take over that role, and I did, and I stayed with that show for about 4 years.
Well, why wouldn't you?
Well, it was so much fun. I was getting paid. I was like a real live actor with a paycheck.
Exactly.
As we do our chosen families, or I have so many cast members that are like my chosen family, and we became so close, and I didn't want to leave until I had another job. So there's that.
And there is that. So you're a dancer, you're a hoofer, somebody who got an MFA in acting and directing.
Yes, and see, I have let that lie. I am not a dancer. I am a singer who moves well and can really fake it kind of well.
Look at my face.
Look at my face. Don't look at my. But
yeah, exactly. I've seen you move. You're amazing.
No, but it takes me a long time. I have a great sense of style, and I like to call it character-driven dance. But I have absolutely no technique. But thank God I studied at Betty Kovacs School of Dance, and my mother made me take tap. One of my, not that I regret, but I wish I had stayed longer in the School of Dance, just so I would understand more of the vocabulary and just understand it in my body more. But thank goodness she did make me take tap, because I've been in like 4 tap shows, and you give me enough time, I will learn the combination.
So then your next show was Crazy for You on Broadway, right? And we have a picture of you in Crazy for You. There you are. Kick that leg, girl.
Yes, subtle. This was, I remember auditioning for that. I auditioned for Crazy for You 7 times.
What?
7 times. And I think they just felt so sorry for me at the end. They said, let's kind of just create a role for her. And the role was Tess. Now, the director was the choreographer was Susan Stroman, and the director was Mike Ockrent. And Susan Stroman uses big boy dancers.
They're like the real deals.
Glorious, tall, technique-filled dancers, and me. And so they decided to make Tess, my character, the dance captain. Which means that I didn't have to fully participate in all the dance numbers, except that number that you just saw the picture from.
Yeah, that I did search on Google a lot. I was like, is she in that one? Is she in that one? Is she in that one?
Yeah. There's the big numbers like slap that bass.
Yeah.
I'm on the edge chopping rope with a hat.
Amazing.
I do remember we were going down the line and rehearsing or something, and Stro, which we fondly, lovingly call Susan Stroman, was going down, and I was like the next to the shortest dancer, and she was going, okay, split, do a split, and she got to me, she went, you don't split, do you? And it's like, I do not, but I do a mean half split. So in these publicity pictures, it's like me on the end, like, and anyway. with the
Oh
girls.
my God. So that is incredible. But they also needed somebody to cover Polly. And as I remember, I saw you go on as
You
Polly.
did? Oh
Yes,
my
girl.
gosh.
And I'll also tell you, you were lovely enough to say hi to me outside.
Oh,
And you were like, had to get on a train to go home because you had little children.
right.
But you stayed to talk to me. I was in college, and it was just like one of those beautiful, amazing moments because I
Aw.
had already worked with you at North Carolina Theater, and you were just kind enough. It was back before you could text and be like, "Hey, girl, I'm at the show." You know, I
No.
had to like leave you a note at the stage door, and it was a whole thing.
So glamorous.
Yeah, but I was like, I want to be Beth Leavel. Seriously. And then, of course, you went on to do Dorothy Brock in 42nd Street after that, so you got to do the show again.
Can you imagine? Yeah, I was. Oh, there you go.
Well, I couldn't find a picture, but I thought it was important to say you starred opposite Tom Wopat.
I did. I did. Yeah, it was interesting. I was hired as a standby initially because when I went into audition, I had this relationship with the 42nd Street creatives because I did it for 4 years, 20 million years ago. And they told me, said, "You're too young for this and you're too old for that. Would you want to stand by?" And I was unemployed at the time. I was like, absolutely. And then I covered Christine Ebersole and Mary Testa. And when Christine Ebersole left to do another job, they offered me the role and I stayed with it for about a year and a half. So there you go.
Amazing. And then I'm not sure I'm saying these in the correct order, but of course you won the
Whatever.
Tony Award for The Drowsy Chaperone, which is, you know, I would say took you to that whole other level of
Beth, it took me to the whole other Beth level. sorry, I had to.
But
Yeah, it was one of those, besides Tess, creating an original role that was really written around
yeah.
my craziness and my skills and my storytelling. So that it changed my life.
Yeah, I mean, big time. And we're going to talk more about it because we're going to dive all into The Drowsy Chaperone. I want to hear the whole bit. So hold on to all those stories for sure. And then, of course, you played Donna Sheridan in Mamma Mia, rocking that spandex.
Look at those shoes. 8
my
shows. I
God.
mean, you probably don't know this. One of the things about Mamma Mia, when you play Donna Sheridan, you have to have a perpetual tan because all of us live in Greece.
Mm-hmm.
So that was part of the ritual. Every Monday, every day off, I would go either spray tan or they gave you tanning stuff. For a while, it's really cool because you go around New York City in February looking like you've just been to the islands. But, you know, my sheets were
It's the worst.
orange. And
It's the worst. Oh my God.
I didn't mind leaving that once I left Mamma Mia.
Yeah, I mean, that's almost as bad as being Elphaba and like having green under your nails for a year.
Yeah.
I feel you. And then, of course, you played in Baby It's You. Well, you starred in Baby It's You as the real life story of the Shirelles.
I
Look
love
at
that
you. Diva.
Diva.
And, oh my God, amazing. And then you went on to do Elf.
Twice.
Elf the musical twice. That's very true.
Twice.
It had its own revival.
Yeah, the child in the middle now is, I don't know, 50.
Oh my God, and it wasn't even that long ago. What was it, like 2011?
It was right before Baby It's You, so I don't know. It's so sad. It's like 2010 maybe, because I was nominated for a Tony for Baby It's You, but I think it was 2009, 2010, something like that.
Yeah, I think it was too. And then again later was the second time was like in 2012 maybe.
Yep.
I told you I was going to get these out of order.
I don't care. I don't know the order until someone tells me. Like, well,
I was looking at your IMDb or whatever it's called. Okay, and then you did Bandstand, which was opposite Laura Osnes.
Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful show by my dear, dear friend Richard Oberacker, who I went to college with.
You did? Did I know that?
Probably not. We went to CCM together way back when.
Gosh. Such gifted artists.
Incredible. And Andy Blankenbuehler, what an amazing time that must have been.
You know, it was great because it happened right after, was it something that I was working so hard to come into Bandstand and to play this beautiful, quiet, funny character who was only in about 4 scenes with such a terrific brain.
What an
I didn't
awesome
have to
gig.
drive the train. You know, one of those gigs is like, I'm so grateful. And to work with Andy and Richard and who I had not worked with before, and look forward to that again.
Yeah, I mean, those are gifts, definitely. Like minimal input, maximum output. You know, you get to be wonderful, but you don't have to work that hard.
Exactly, exactly.
And then, of course, your latest Broadway foray was The Prom as Dee Dee Allen. Incredible. That is just such a queen
Oh,
moment. Look at you.
thank you.
I mean, amazing.
Yeah, that
Just
was
amazing.
such a special time in my life. Those people right there.
In that picture. I
Yeah,
know.
we still a group of us Zoom about every 2 weeks because we just are still so close to each other, and it's just really important that, and we make each other laugh. So that's
I
awesome.
mean, I'm sure with Chris Sieber and Brooks.
Brooks,
And
so
oh my
do.
God,
Yeah, Josh
please.
Lehman. Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Oh my God, I love that so much. I mean, what an iconic moment in time. What an amazingly beautiful show.
Thank
And now it's having this whole second life. So that's exciting too for the show itself.
Absolutely.
For our
Absolutely. We're
sweet
thrilled.
friends Matthew Sklar and Chad
Yes,
Beglin, love them.
yay.
And you got to work with them twice. Elf, they also wrote Elf.
They did.
So this is sort of thematic, Beth. I mean, you obviously, and I know from experience, are incredibly likable, and you're a wonderful person to have in the room. And I think that really shows in the sense that you've had a lot of loyalty in your career. There's a lot of people who have asked you to do more shows over and over again.
Yeah, that's, it's people. I always like to lead with kindness, and people say, your work ethic and your team player
Yeah.
mentality and your ability just to, particularly within a role like Prom or Babies You, just to guide a company with joy and love. I take it very seriously, but it's, people say, what's the most important thing? And sometimes the first word that comes to me is kindness, particularly now. And, just kindness and professionalism and doing your homework.
Well, this is awesome stuff for all the artists who are watching tonight. It's great for them to hear that because, I think that too. When you're in a room with 30 people and you just want to have people who are kind and who are hard workers and that you can spend those 8 hours a day with. So I'm going to jump a little bit to what I was going to hold this to later in the show, but since we're talking about loyalty, now Casey Nicholaw, who I know you did Crazy for You with him, but also a lot of things at the North Carolina Theater. Where did you actually first meet Casey, who is the director of many, many shows that you've done?
Yes, he's a Uber director now. I met him doing Showboat.
At North Carolina Theater?
At NCT. He played the piano, and that's actually, we were doing Showboat, and we were in the audience for a break or something, or a scene we weren't in, and my agents had sent me the script for Crazy for You so I could read it before my audition, and he was sitting next to me, and I went, you really should read this script because I think you'd be great. And so I feel like I'm kind of responsible for his entire career. He went on to be in the ensemble, and then was inspired by all that, went on to choreograph, and now he's one of the
incredible
hottest directors ever.
I mean, you wouldn't remember this because why would you? You were playing Julie, but Casey was my dance partner in Showboat.
He was?
Yes, we were dance partners.
That's
and so
awesome.
I think what I always look back and I think about y'all's special relationship and your collaboration over the years and think how exciting it is that it started in a regional theater out there in the world. And that is how it happens, is that people meet, you collaborate, you're inspired by each other, and then it stays with you. And if the artists who are listening can take anything home, it's those moments, that you never know when you're going to meet the person who changes your life and your career.
There you go.
Right?
Write that down. Write that down.
I know. Well, and I'm going to let you talk about it more than I am, but I do remember when Drowsy Chaperone was happening, I was working with Casey on Spamalot, and he was telling me the story about how you got cast, and maybe this is his version, or I don't know. I don't know what yours is, but I feel like I remember, and correct me if I'm wrong, but he had in his mind he wanted a Beth Leavel type for the Drowsy Chaperone.
He did, but he didn't cast me.
Right.
No, seriously, I went in for my audition, and this is another term I like to use when I coach and teach. Sometimes you get a script and your character is not necessarily on the page yet, meaning the lines don't really inform who this person is. And this character of Beatrice Stockwell was all that.
Yeah.
And it was going to take a lot of exploring and mining that, and with the creative, the smart writers and Casey and whomever they cast. So knowing that, reading the script was so funny, but it was like, who is this person? So I went in and I just pulled a funny song out of my book and I sang it, and they gave me a call back. And I think partly because of my relationship with Casey, because I don't think I did such a great, I mean, it was okay. And they had me read aside, the script, and it was okay. And I came back and I did it again, and he gave me some adjustments in his notes, and I tried to take that advice and shift my audition. And then about 2 weeks later, he called and said, which directors don't usually do this, but because he's so kind, he called me and said, "I'm so sorry, Beth, you didn't get the part." And I went, "I absolutely understand that." I said, "I do not think that I'm the person to bring this person off the page, to bring it to life. Maybe you need someone older." This was a while ago. And he said, "Yeah, I kind of agree with you." So I hear they went to Los Angeles and auditioned. I don't know if the children are going to know this, Eartha Kitt, and some of the divas, like Joan Van Ark from Knots Landing, Tina Louise from Gilligan's Island, and they just couldn't find the right person. I hear they came back and they cast someone, though that person changed their mind or something. And at literally the last minute, my agent calls, this is months later, and says, "Oh, Beth, I have a job offer for you," which we love to hear because that means we don't have to audition. I'm like, "I'll take it." And he said it's to play Beatrice Stockwell in The Drowsy Chaperone. And I proceeded to tell him he was incorrect. I said, no, I didn't get that. Thanks, though. And I made him call the casting person back. And indeed, my agent called me back and said, "You have been cast. You need to pack your bags because in 3 weeks you leave for a 3-month out-of-town tryout in Los Angeles." It was Christmas, so it was like, "Children, I'm going to LA.
Santa's come early.
We're going to California." And the
Oh
rest
my
is
God.
history, and to be in the room and just to discover who this person was, to feel safe, and just, I tell people I went in, once I finally was over being so intimidated by the amazing talent in the room, I just decided just to throw everything I had up against the wall, to not edit my choices. And between that and Casey and the creatives, we came up with this amazing Drowsy Chaperone.
So that you're answering like all my dream questions. It's so awesome because I'm so interested in how you work as an actor. So when you got that script, like you said, it wasn't necessarily on the page.
No.
So did you come like an open vessel? Do you work like method from yourself? Like what is your process?
Well, it's interesting because the Drowsy Chaperone, it's in a time frame. So we knew it was in the 20s. So that informs a great deal of physicalization. I wouldn't be sitting and standing and speaking like I'm in 2020,
Right.
21.
Right.
I don't know what year it is or day. And anywho, and I knew that she thought she was a big star, so she had this, I knew she was a diva. So that informs a lot of things. So I went in with some basic facts. And because Casey, we were all discovering this, it's an original show. So there was a lot of discovery to be made once you actually hire your actors and what they're going to bring to the script and what works and what doesn't work. So we would spend 2 hours every morning between 10 and 12 watching films of the style of the 20s. So we could all have the same tone. So the show could all have the same tone, slightly heightened reality, but still very truthful. This is who we are in this particular instance, in this particular Drowsy Chaperone. All of us were very heightened because we're in this person's imagination, but it's all very truthful, and just discovering that balance and that fine line of singing Stumble Along and yet really truthfully singing Stumble Along, not like Beth Leavel winking at the audience going, "Aren't I funny? Well, look at me hold this note." That's what Beatrice Stockwell would have done. And it was trial and error, rehearse. And then finally you get your scene partner, which is the audience.
Sure.
And they will inform you what works and what doesn't work. And what was interesting with Drowsy Chaperone is Bob Martin, who played Man in Chair, was also the writer. So literally, we didn't see him on stage as Beatrice Stockwell, but I could hear him working every night. If a line didn't get a laugh, I could just hear him like, "Oh, I got to make that better. Got to fix that. Got to fix that." So it was and again, I feel so safe in that room. I trusted people to take care of me and to help me make those choices. So my process kind of varies
Yeah.
with each show, depending again on the nature of the script, the tone of the show. I always like to go in really prepared, having done my homework, particularly if it's a piece that, like Bandstand, I really wanted to know about the experiences of World War II vets and World War II veterans' widows.
Mm-hmm.
So I do homework trying to understand the period of just to layer, just to understand, just to know that, to pour, there's no automatic coffee makers, just to understand the history with which you are living right now.
Right.
We had to wear like undergarments that I hadn't worn before. It was pretty cool.
That is cool. I love that. Um, Another question I have for you, since you brought it up,
Sure.
how fearless or how intimidating is it when you go out there and you're creating a role and you don't get the laugh that you thought you might get, or the room laughs are different from the audience laughs? I mean,
Oh, the room laughs are always different. You guys, room laughs are when you're in a rehearsal room with all of your chosen family and cast, and you do some perfect example, if I may, Lauren.
yes, please.
And sorry, my hair's falling down. When after LA with the Drowsy Chaperone, we came back, and with the information that our scene partner had informed, there was changes. There were a lot of changes. We did changes actually when we were performing in Los Angeles, but they shifted things again to find the comedy, to find the arc of the piece, and whatever, just to make it a better, solid show. And I remember we were in the room doing a rehearsal in a rehearsal room for the lighting designer, our wardrobe, our crew, our dressers. And I decided, because it was family in the room and they had laughed at everything because they know us, I decided at the end of Stumble Along, I did this big choice I'd never done before. And I laid down on the floor, like sprawled out. I thought it was the funniest thing ever. Some of the actors, my fellow cast members, we had to stop because we were laughing so hard. And I'm like, I have nailed this. This is so funny. Oh my God. Why didn't I think of this in LA? And afterwards, we were getting notes from Casey. And Casey went, Beth, oh my God. That was the funniest thing I have ever seen in my life. And please don't ever do it again. I was like, darn. So he knew that wouldn't be the best way to serve the story and the author's intention. Smart. And my characters, whatever. But that's what's called a rehearsal room laugh.
Oh yeah, and they are always very different.
You work and you work and you work and you go out and it goes wah wah. It's either you or the line or something. But it's kind of exciting. It's like math. It's like how are we gonna figure out this calculus? How are we gonna do this geometry to make sure that everything lines up so you have this as perfect as it can get show?
I love that.
It's fascinating. It's fascinating. And I love being in a room with a smart director and musical director and writer because they understand that. Like Bob Martin is amazing at understanding that.
I mean, what a gift, too.
Yeah.
But I would just say you have to have lots of resiliency, lots of confidence to be able to take that, take sort of the ups and downs of the creative process. I mean,
Absolutely.
I don't know about you. I've done some creative processes myself, and I was constantly worried I was going to be fired, like every little moment. So, I mean, do you feel that way? Do you feel?
Yes. I think it's called imposter syndrome.
Oh, imposter.
That, like, I have a big job coming up next, and I keep that little voice going, they're going to find out that you're just faking everything you're doing, that you're not talented. And I'm like, stop it. But part of that's like just normal, I hate when it takes away my joy. So I try really hard not to let that voice have much power. I'll go, I hear you. Now just go away now and just let me do my work.
Yeah.
And I think we've all been let go of a job, and sometimes it's not because of our skill, it's just because of show business.
Right. Yeah.
Just business. Sometimes they need a bigger star than Beth Leavel. Well, that happened, but that's hard. You just don't take it personally. Just, persistence,
You have certainly, like, really had the trajectory of a Broadway career to me, which I think is enviable, that you went through the ladder, each
I
rung
did.
of the ladder, and you didn't get immediate success. I mean, you did. You were on Broadway, don't get me wrong.
No, no,
But,
no. But
you
I
did get to go
totally
through all the steps where you really appreciated it, I think, once you arrived there and you had the experience.
I did. What I loved so much about after the night I won the Tony Award, I got so many calls from people that I mean, because I had been working like 20, 25 years saying I had won a Tony Award for them, the worker bees, the people that have just been doing the work, putting the time in, growing, learning, failing, succeeding. I had won it for all of us. And that meant so much to me.
That is awesome. That is really amazing. Speaking of your Tony Award, because you give us a little shout out, I'm going to show everybody your Tony Award speech. Here it is.
Oh my goodness gracious sakes alive. Breathe, breathe. First of all, thank you, Bob Martin and Janet Vandergraaf, for getting married and having this amazing bachelor party thing that has become our drowsy chaperone. Thank you to our producers. Thank you, our creative team. And I must tell my director, my brilliant director, Casey Nicholaw. I had to write this down. Thank you for trusting me with this role of a lifetime. Because of your faith in me, my friend, I am flying. Thank you, American Theater Wing, for letting this be Lynn and Ruby Leavel in Raleigh, North Carolina. They're the proudest parents on the earth right now. Cheers, darling. I love my job. Thank you.
I just love it so much. Oh, very well
Just
played.
happens to be sitting next to me when I'm at town.
Oh
That
my
night they
God.
give you a stunt Tony, because you have
They
to go
do.
through these press lines, and then this one was sent to the theater. So we passed it around, and all the cast and crew of the Drowsy Chaperone had this as their Christmas card.
Yeah. That is amazing. Oh my God, what a feeling, Beth. I mean, what an amazing feeling, and how awesome that you shouted out to your beautiful parents who were so proud of you, and Raleigh, North Carolina as a whole. I mean, that's just so meaningful.
Do you know what happened after I made that shout out to my parents?
No?
Their phone started ringing. WRAL, all of the radio stations wanted to they were like the celebrities.
Oh, I love
I
it.
remember my mother, Ruby Leavel, talking on the phone with me. She said, well, now I just take the phone to the bathroom because it rings so much.
She's like, I can't miss a call.
I'm not going to miss a call, talk to somebody about you. But that to me was another one of that they had that adjacent experience with my Tony night and week. And it went on for weeks. It was really, really thrilling.
Oh my God.
I know.
Just the sweetest thing ever that, you recognize in that moment that those two people have put, their heart and soul into their daughter, and she fulfilled her dream. Oh, it's just so beautiful. I almost get teared up. Being a parent too, I just think about the hopes and dreams we have for our children, and for them to see it come to fruition is so exciting. Oh, Beth, that's so sweet. Let's talk about the prom a little bit.
Okay.
So with a character like Dee Dee Allen, it sounds like you brought a lot of yourself to Beatrice. But so Dee Dee Allen, was it based on you? Did Casey always know he was going to cast you? Was that something that was just like a done deal?
Mm-hmm. This is what's the difference between Drowsy Chaperone and the Prom. The Prom was actually written for me. I remember after Elf one night, which Matt and Chad had written, who wrote the lyrics and music for Prom, I said, I had such a good time. Can we work together again? And they both had this look. They had already started writing it. They had already started writing it for books, me and Angie and Chris, which we didn't even know. And they said something like, just be patient. I'm like, okay. You hear it's like, blah, blah, blah. I don't know, 3-4 years later, Casey calls us and says, we have a really rough draft of this new musical written for you, the four of you. Could you just come and sit around a table and read it out loud for us for the first time? Now, mind you, this was 9 years ago. That's how long it took to bring the prom from that little draft. And I'm not even counting the hours and years that Matt and Chad and Bob Martin and Casey put in it. But, you know, they had an idea and it just grew and grew and grew. And look what happened.
I mean, seriously, it's amazing. What is the criteria for you when you decide to do a show? Obviously, it's written for you, so you're like, okay, I'll do it.
There was no question about that.
Yeah. I mean, but with other roles, like, you know, other things about like going out of town, are you nervous about going out of town to create a role because you have a family or you know?
Yeah, when my kids were little, I really didn't want to go out of town. I did once with the Civil War because I knew it had a Broadway trajectory, and we had just moved and we really needed the money. And it's like, I have to go to Houston for 3 months. And it really took a toll on me emotionally and my mental health.
Yeah.
So I'd rather, I mean, they're older now, but I'd rather, if I can stay in town, I'd rather now because whatever. But if it's a beautiful project that has a future, like Prom, I had to go to Atlanta.
Yeah.
If I hadn't gone to Atlanta, then I wouldn't have had the experience I did. But you know, my kids were able to come down. It's a little different now that I'm older.
Yeah, of course.
But when they're young,
you're older.
Yeah, I don't want.
But I think it's interesting when you are at the level you're at. You know, what is it that draws you to a piece? Is it the character itself? Is it the people you're going to be working with? Is it the money? I mean, let's be real.
All of the above. If it's Broadway, unless it's absolutely dreadful and a person I hear is awful, I'm of course going to do it because it's a paycheck, it's my pension, it's health insurance. You know, I have a family, a house, a mortgage, a fiance. If it would, and I love it when it's people I know and respect.
Yeah.
And I get like, I had never worked with Andy Blankenbuehler, who, you know, choreographed a little thing called Hamilton. And I was so anxious just to be in his oxygen and learn from him. So that was an easy yes, of course. But it's such a privilege to be in a Broadway show that I can't imagine ever saying no.
Yeah, that's very true.
And
that's a great way to be.
Conversely, if it's someone, a creative I really love, like Andy or Casey, and the deal is you need to go out of town, I'm going to say, yep, I'll pack my bags.
Yep, here I go. Well, that just means you still love it and you're still awed by it too.
Absolutely.
Which is a great testament to your like spirit and your love for the art form.
I do love it.
Well,
it's not always easy. I got to tell you that right now. But that's okay. That's okay.
And we'll get into that too with some of our artists that we're going to be bringing out in a moment. But before we get to them, let's play a little video of Beth Leavel as Dee Dee Allen in the Prom. Yes! Applause! Oh man. Hard work. Look at those dance moves and that incredible high belting. I was looking at one of the videos. I wanted to put a little compilation because I saw your closing night performance is also up on YouTube. People should go see it. And the crowd just like leaps to its feet. Oh my God, it was so exciting. I mean, what a rush that must have been.
It really was. It was the night we were closing and I sang that song and the audience stood up and, you know, there was a lot of family, a lot of fans, a lot of people that really supported the Prom and they applauded for about 2 minutes and I just burst into tears.
Of course.
Which I've never done. I completely broke character. It was Beth Leavel and it was like, I just thank them. You know, it's like, what a gift that was that, you know, as simple as we think musical comedy sometimes is, it truly can change lives. And the Prom
absolutely does.
Definitely one of those shows. And to be a part of that. And so, yeah.
Oh my God, I know. I mean, I'm just such a moving, lighthearted, but moving and incredibly important piece. It's just, I think they nailed it. Yay, Beth.
Yeah, thank you.
So I want to bring out some of our aspiring actresses because I thought it would be great for them to have the opportunity to be inspired by you the way that you inspired me. So first of all, I want to bring out Carly Grissom. Carly is another
Hi.
NCT gal.
Hi, Carly.
And before
Hi.
we get into a question, Carly, I think I need to apologize to all three of you because I'm sure I said a question that you had written me, told me you were going to say, and I asked it anyway. I'm so sorry.
It's all good.
Maybe you've had a few minutes to come up with another one. So, Carly, tell us a little bit about yourself before you go into your question.
Well, I'm also an alum of Broughton High School.
Yes,
Yes. Look at
I,
us.
I grew up with North Carolina Theater and the conservatory that exists now, and got all my training there and inspiration from there and from the Broadway stars like you and Lauren coming to do shows, like changed my life as a little kid, and I just was like, I want to do this. But
And
yeah,
what are you doing now?
well, right now I'm back at home.
Sorry.
But I'm moving up to the city in September.
You are?
But yeah, for real.
Congratulations.
But that's me, I guess.
Well, do you have a question that you have been able to come up with in the last few seconds?
Yes. Well, so it's basically what you asked, but more.
Do we freeze?
I bet she's going to say specific.
She might have frozen.
I just linked out. Yep, I'm good now.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're good.
So sorry. What is the first thing you do when you get a script, and not necessarily like, a script that isn't fully formed yet, but from,
Right.
a show that's been around?
Right. For example, I did Mama Rose and Gypsy, and with a script like that, I got it months ahead of time. And I just, I read it, I highlight it, I just let it soak in, and then I read it again, and then I read it again, and then I read it again. And if it's something like Gypsy, there's a history to that. So I read an autobiography of, her and that whole vaudeville era, what it was like to live in that era. That's right, era. Is that that word?
Era.
And then, I like just then, because it was a summer stock job, there was a finite amount of time, I started memorizing lines. So I was completely ready for the next step when I got into rehearsal, which was being in the room with the director or choreographer and the other actors, and just then letting my Mama Rose figure out where it goes from that. But just being doing my homework so greatly, learning the songs, just so I can get that out of the way, so I can really start on the work of who this person is. Some characters aren't as complex as, Mama Rose.
Right.
And I'll always read the script, highlight my lines, read the script, read it again, start getting really familiar with the music, unless it's a play. But so again, I just like to do a lot of homework and research. Like I said, with Bandstand, there was another thing. Oh, there was a show I did called Minsky's, which was all about burlesque. It was supposed to come into New York, but it didn't. So I did all this research on that era, the burlesque, the strippers, and how the business of that, and in New York and in Los Angeles, it was fascinating. So you just go in a little smarter, knowing, I understand what that reference is. So that's homework. I think is really important. And, and we're students, I'm a perpetual student. I try to take care of my voice. I try to stay in shape so I can physically not pass out if I have to do choreography. Thank you, Casey Nicholaw. Sorry, just a side note, Carly. We were in the Prom, there's that big hip hop dance finale. We like to call ourselves the olds, the people that are like me, Brooks, Chris, and Angie. We weren't in it. And we were in Atlanta, and we were watching Casey and all his assistants teaching it. We were back there going, oh my God, we don't have to do this. And all of a sudden we look at Casey Hushin, Casey's assistant. She went, it was like, no. So anyway, the timeout dance room and learn that. So if I know I'm going to have to do hip hop again, I'm going to do that homework a little bit more, or tapping, or, I did little night music just to understand that era and the costumes and the physicality of it. But then I get into the room and I just throw everything up against the wall. And I have a director I trust, and they go, oh yeah, more of that. It's like, don't do that, more of that. And I try really hard not to edit.
Huh.
Yeah.
I try not to edit. I try to go in and just bring it all to the room. It's not a time to be shy. Just bring it all in there and let people help you sculpt.
So are you able to sort of let that history and that information, that research go when you're in the moment and you just trust that it's there?
Yep. Yeah, and you don't see it. You go, oh my gosh, she certainly did her research. It's just a part of the DNA that I don't even know I even think about anymore. It just now, it's informed someplace. I feel it just gives another complexity and another layer, even if no one sees it. And even if I forget about it, maybe it's in there anyway.
Yeah, well, of course it is.
Yeah.
And I love that you're saying that, and Carly's hearing it. She's an incredibly talented singer and actress and amazing dancer as well.
Yay, Carly! Triple
She's got it
threat!
all going on. And I think it's really important for her generation of artists to hear the work that goes into it ahead of time. Now, I know Carly is being an incredibly hard worker, somebody who does a lot of work, a lot of prep. But it's just really nice to hear you say that, because I do feel like sometimes people just want to be like instinctual in the moment, famous without really doing very much. And, you know, it takes a lot of work.
It does. Now, if I may add an addendum to that, instincts are my way of saying go into the room and don't edit. Same thing.
Yes. Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Using your instincts, organic, whatever. It's kind of all the same things, but different people call it different things. And some people actually, I know, work inside out, and some people work outside in. And there's no right or wrong.
Can you explain a little bit what that means?
A lot of people would like to know a character by, like, what do I wear? Do I have a limp? What do I look like? What's my wig? Working outside and then letting that inform. I'm more of an inside out. I'd like to know the text, and then I can say, well, I don't think she'd wear high heels because, and blah, 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 blah. So it's kind of, but neither one of them are wrong, as long as it gets you the result that is authentic and truthful to the author's intention and serves the piece. None of it's wrong. Whatever works.
That's awesome. That's great. Carly, did that answer your question?
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. It's so easy to look at people you admire, I feel like, sometimes, and just see the result and think like it's not as hard for people that you think are so amazing. You know what I mean? And so it's good to hear.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of work, but I find such joy in the work. Rehearsal is
exactly
the best part of it. Because of COVID, I remember so many people weren't able to perform, and I was asked to like call people that were chaperone. It was like, I'm so glad that you at least had the rehearsal experience, because that's where magic happens. That's
So
where
true.
we get to learn who we are becoming as artists, and to test our limits and to push our boundaries and to be uncomfortable and to learn and to grow. And again, make mistakes, learn from them.
That's great. That's so great.
Yeah.
So true. Well, Carly, thank you so much for being with us tonight,
Thank you.
and
Thank
wishing
you
you
so much.
obviously all the best in New York.
Yes, I'll see you there.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Come back soon.
Oh, I will, because I'll be right back for Chicago.
You will be in Chicago, so don't go too far. All right. Thank you so much, Carly.
Bye, Carly.
She's very, very talented. All three of these ladies are incredibly talented. Next, we have Elizabeth Galbraith. Hi, Elizabeth. Are you with us? Hey, girl.
Hi.
Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
I'm
you too.
so happy you're here. Why don't you tell Beth a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm from Raleigh. My mom is from Raleigh for a while we've been here. And my parents were opera singers. They ran an opera company for a while. So I grew up backstage, and my rebellion was going, oh, I see you doing this highbrow art. I'm going to go run over here, do a little dancey dance, and sprout a little scrouty sprout and have some fun on stage and play. And then I fell for the, if you can do anything else, do something else. And so I went to college and did not do arts at all, and minored in theater, and was a mathematician. So thank you for the shout out to calculus earlier. I appreciated that. And so I've kind of made my way back after transferring colleges and post-grad back into the performance world, and kind of finding that self-confidence to be like, no, let's keep going with it. And I did NCT a lot in high school, but also like finding as an adult taking classes again and having the confidence to be like, yes, I'm in here with high schoolers, but here I am continuing that education and continuing that craft, you know.
Awesome.
So.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. I have a degree in social work counseling. Did I tell you that?
No.
So that wasn't a minor in theater when I went to Meredith, because I just, whatever. And again, like your math skills, my social work counseling was about listening and responding. A lot of that training, which is so helpful. I mean, that's all acting is, listening and responding.
That's awesome. Well, do you have any advice you're hoping to get from Beth tonight?
Yeah. So I think one of like the weirdly fortunate things that I think has come from the pandemic is the fact that we're having a lot of conversations about the industry and the mental health and the imposter syndrome, as you mentioned earlier, that it gets involved in creating the safe space for that play in the rehearsal process. Do you have any advice for people who like didn't major in it, or are kind of building their self-confidence in the room to make sure like the playing is the best? So how do you have the confidence to find those moments and throw caution to the wind and make a bold choice?
Right. So you're asking me, how do you build up your self-worth to bring your best self into the rehearsal room before the voices take over?
Yes. Yes. Or if they've gotten the little finger, like their little anchor in, how do you like yank it out and toss it away and be like, not today?
Eventually it will go away. And part of me, again, would like to say, sometimes I think that voice is a little necessary to keep me focused and keep me on track and to keep me truthful. And yes, I'm not really sure how. If I went and it's like, oh, I'm the best ever, I think that would so inform my work in a negative way, to think that I have nothing to learn, or what can you teach me? That's ridiculous. Look, I'm already perfection. So part of that serves me to be available to learn. I think, Elizabeth, what will happen is when you keep doing it and doing it and doing it and finding success after success, even if it's minuscule, even if it's huge, you just go, it's just a natural process that you will know that you are in the right place at the right time with the right craft and the right skills that you will continue to learn, just as like I am, and I'm much older than you are. Again, I do feel like I'm a perpetual student, always learning. And it's just doing and knowing really what your gift is becoming, who you are becoming as an artist. And so when you walk into the room, they will need you, and you will feel that confidence as I'm here to save your show. Thank you. Thank you. I've trained. I know what my voice is. I know what my comedy is, or whatever thing you want to bring into the room, whatever you're being cast in. You'll know that. And just doing it more and more and more and more, and hearing that voice, but giving it no power, going, thank you for the reminder. I know I'm still learning. Now go away. And then you come into the room with confidence because you've prepared. You won't get every role you audition for. That's impossible. And that's okay. Maybe you'll learn something from the audition that you didn't know. But just know that you're in the right place at the right time, in the right path. And let it bring whatever it's going to bring. Let's just do the journey. Let's do the journey of becoming an actor.
I just wanted to jump in on that for 2 seconds, because I think you said it earlier too, Beth, about leading with kindness and
yes.
in making sure you're expressing your joy in the room. And I think that's part of it too, Elizabeth, is that you reap what you sow. So if you're putting out the energy of, I'm here, I'm open, I'm available, I'm ready to learn, I'm not taking things personally, then ultimately I think you will get that back too. And I've worked with you in a room, and I do know that you do that already. So you got a leg up.
I always like to think, when I'm in a room, when I come into the room, and leave, do I leave the room a better place or a sadder place or a worse place? And I always like to think I leave it a better place. That doesn't mean you have to be perfect every day, but sometimes you have to fake it a little bit. When you're not feeling great, when you're having a crappy day and you just were mad or whatever, but just not to bring that into your work. Just, so I'm a little quiet one day, but I still always lead with kindness, preparation, and I'm a team player and I'm a very good listener. I'm sorry. No, kidding.
Sorry, what'd you say?
That is me. Yeah.
Is that the answer you were hoping for, Elizabeth?
Just great advice. I really appreciate any kind
Absolutely.
of positive.
Just know that whatever you're feeling, so normal. It's part of the process. It really is. And I find that, even in my process, there are good days, bad days. There just are. We're human beings. I'm not a robot. I have feelings and I have good days and bad days about how I feel about my work or if I'm ever going to work again. And then I stop. I'm just like, okay, are you done with that? Great. Now let's go to work. Now let's go memorize that patter song.
Yeah. And it's true though, the more you're prepared, the more confident you are, and the more you have the ability to pivot and adjust to what the room needs. And Elizabeth, like I said, you got a leg up. You're doing great. I've worked with you. You're
Hello. That's fantastic, Elizabeth. You can't get better than that. Brava. Brava.
Thank you for being with us tonight, Elizabeth.
Yeah,
I really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me, Lauren. Thanks, Beth.
If I need a math, can I call you about a math problem if I have one?
Girl, anytime. Calculus, differential equations.
I had to do doing a Zoom play reading as we do, and I had some math things. It's like, y'all, this is not my wheelhouse. Help me. So thanks for that.
Perfect. You can create the calculus to describe the character, the arc of the character, right?
Well, math
What's the curve?
I love that. And I'll come to you too because I'm doing a lot of spreadsheets and a lot of budgeting these days, Elizabeth, so I need the math help myself. Thank you so much,
I'll make up
Elizabeth.
a song for it to explain it to everyone.
There you go. Perfect. It's all coming together. Thanks, Elizabeth.
Nice to meet you, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Good luck with everything.
Yeah, you guys
Well,
as well.
I have to tell you something too. My acting teacher would always say, because actors always bring, he always said, please leave yourself alone.
Yes.
It sounds so simple, but it's so deep, right? It's
So
like,
good.
whoa, leave yourself alone. Just do your work. Do the work.
Absolutely true. Great advice to leave on. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mwah.
You know what else you said earlier that I thought was really interesting is that you want to breathe that oxygen.
Oh,
That is a great visual for, when you come into a room, it's like you're taking in all the elements of that room.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in the place with my tribe.
Yes.
And I
so
wanted
good.
to be in this place of oxygen and all its process.
Oh, I love it. That's a great metaphor. I used to say things like the molecules in the room,
Exactly.
it's kind of the same thing. The one thing I've always noticed about you is you are so great at having strength in what you bring to the table and not adjusting to anybody else's vibe. You know how sometimes people pick up each other's jokes then they become the same kind of slightly different versions of the same joke. And you have always been so solid in this is what I bring, this is what I know. These are the molecules that I bring into the room and I change the room when I walk in. And I'm obsessed with that. I think that's amazing.
I'm going to write that down right now, the molecules.
Yeah, and you know what? It's confidence. When it comes right down to it, it's confidence.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to fake that confidence.
You
and
do.
Fake it till you make it.
Girl, you said it. You said it. You said it. And I hope they heard it. Okay, next up we have Allie Mae Carnes is with us tonight too to
Hi,
chat.
Allie.
Hey, how you doing, Allie? Oh, we can't hear you. Will you unmute yourself?
Oh, can you hear me now?
There she is.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I moved to Raleigh in 2018, so I'm pretty new to the area. After I graduated college, I was 20 when I graduated with my bachelor's and then moved here. And so I was like, what am I doing with my life? So Beth, I really appreciate everything you've shared about your story tonight because I really resonate with a lot of it. I too kind of got a later start to theater. I started out dancing when I was 3, but then didn't start acting and singing until high school. And so I always felt like, oh, it's too late for me. I'm way too behind. You know, all these other people have been acting and singing their whole lives. And then I also went to college and majored in counseling. So I totally get that. Yeah. So now, ever since I moved to Raleigh, I am a teaching artist at North Carolina Theater Conservatory.
Nice.
Also an actor and choreographer in the area. Work for Raleigh area children's theaters, their head choreographer, and lots of other different places. But yeah, it's a little bit about me.
Fantastic. Wow, what a skill set you bring to the room.
Thank you.
I can just be funny and belt. Anyway, go ahead.
So a question that I have, since I am also a teacher, sometimes I experience these things, but also have to counsel my students through the same things. So how did you, especially starting out, how did you stay encouraged through rejection, through uncertainty, through the whole craziness that is being an artist?
Yeah, I'm sure if you ask 100 different actors, you would get 100 different answers about how. I know that, you know, because of going to school, I know that that's just part of the gig. That's just, again, you can't get every job. You just have to learn how not to take it personally. Like if I go and audition and I'm supposed to be 6'2" and a ballet dancer, but I still, you know, I'm going to go audition, I'm not going to get that part. It took me a while to be realistic about my castability and my brand, for lack of a different way to say it. But through all of that, and I'm still learning that, it's like, well, why can't I do Elphaba? It's like, because you could be her mother. It's like, but you know, if you think you could do everything. So I'm learning that realistically what I actually can get cast in. Again, it's a business where I am, it's show business. So, you know, you have to cast my brand. But what keeps me going through the rejections, through the why didn't I get that part, through the blah, blah, is my love and my passion for what I do. And I have no other skills like you. I mean, like I said, so I remember one of the highlights about being in the original 42nd Street, there were these women there that had so much history and wisdom. And I would literally just pick their brains and sit around like at a campfire going, and then what? And I remember asking, what advice would you give to me? What advice would you give to an actor moving to New York and trying to pursue this? And they went, persistence. And that
sounds about right.
So much sense. It's like, you're not going to get it today. What are you going to quit? No, you're going to maybe learn something from that. Maybe you need to have a different audition song. Maybe you need to take more. I don't know. So sometimes you really can turn it into a positive. And sometimes you get your feelings hurt, and that's okay. You can grieve. Thank you for your service. And then you got to let it go, because that's not who you are. Just let it go. Let it go. Learn from it. Move on. I remember being crushed because I didn't get this Broadway show. If I had taken that Broadway show, Drowsy Chaperone wouldn't have happened for me.
Wow.
So I'm like, okay, all right. There's just one day at a time, one audition at a time, one moment at a time, one class at a time.
I love that you said that, because I sometimes when I get called back for something and I really, really want it, I've learned to, rather than like really focus on getting that one part, saying like, I want this or I want something better. That's something I've really tried to focus on, because like maybe that is not what's meant for me, you know?
And also I've auditioned for something, not gotten the job. And a year later, the director goes, you were in the room for me with that show. I'm sorry you didn't get it. We needed someone much younger. And then a job becomes available. So you just, again, always have to bring your best artistry into the room, your best self into the room, and be prepared.
And Allie, you probably know too, because you are a choreographer and you sit on the other side of the table as well, that it's a bigger picture sometimes. So it really isn't personal. It's not just something to say to make you feel better, like, oh, don't take it personally. It literally isn't personal. You know, you can love someone's talent
true.
and they're not going to be a puzzle piece that goes into the show,
So
you know? So
true.
I think that is the thing that people need to constantly remind themselves is like, not this one, but I'm building the blocks, you know, for the next one. And when my time comes up, you know.
That's a great point, Lauren. Great point. Great point.
I love that because I think I used to walk into auditions so scared, feeling like, oh, they want me to mess up, right? Like, and then the first time I ever was behind the table, I was like, oh no, the very first thing I think when I see them is like, oh my gosh, I hope they're good.
Exactly.
Right?
I remember
be the role that we are trying to fill right now.
Bob
right.
Martin, when he's behind a table casting, was telling a talk back or something. He said, when people come into the room, we can't do it without you.
Yeah.
We need you. So we already go in empowered. So if the actor math works, then we'll get the job. If not, they can't do it without the actors and the dancers, and this can't do it. Can't do it. That's called a book.
Yeah. That's such great advice. It's so true. You can't. And I'm with you, Allie. When I sit behind a table and I'm auditioning for our season, I'm just like, please let this person be good. Please let this person be the answer to my prayers. And I'm constantly thinking, oh, well, maybe not for this, but for the next thing we've got going on, they'd be great. You know,
Right.
Always keeping people in my Rolodex for sure.
Absolutely. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Well, I hope you get to work for Theater Raleigh soon.
Yes, me too.
I mean, I've definitely heard your name, and I know you've been working around the area, but definitely want to get you over here at Theater Raleigh. So you'll be
Nice.
hearing from me.
Black Allie. And
Thank you,
thank
Beth.
you for all you're doing. Thank you for teaching. That's so important.
Yeah.
Teachers changed my life. Teachers changed my life.
You know,
Absolutely.
that's same here, and some in good ways, some in bad ways. So it has everything I do is through that lens.
There you
That's
go.
awesome.
Well, thank you for your
Well, thank you for being with us here tonight, Allie.
Thank y'all. Thank you.
All right, bye.
Wow.
That was so great. I love it so much. My favorite part of the show is to hear your advice. So great. All right, well, so as we're starting to wrap up, because I don't want to keep you longer than the hour I promised, and I already have, but I like to play this sort of game. It's a very James Lipton kind of a game where it's like I'm going to ask you 10 questions. I want you to answer me within 10 seconds and only use 10 words to answer the question.
Okay,
So
do I
just
have to
really
count?
fast, really
Just fast,
instinctual.
okay.
All right, so here we go. What accomplishment on stage are you most proud of?
The night I did Ladies Improving at closing.
Ugh, yes, and it's on video. What accomplishment off stage are you most proud of?
Helping someone through a panic attack.
Oh, nice. What's your fondest memory of your childhood?
Playing in the neighborhood with bikes
Oh,
and
see,
building a
that's-
fort.
And you can do that in Raleigh, North Carolina. Bikes. If you could bring one famous person back from the dead, who would it be?
An actor or anybody?
Anybody.
I would love to have a conversation with Ethel Merman. I just want to hear it.
Yes.
Yeah, let's talk about it for a moment.
Lay it
That's a
on
long
me.
list. That was a quick, 5 minutes from now, I'll have a different answer. Go ahead.
Well, I like Ethel Merman. That was perfect. Okay, and assuming that you have a tombstone, what would you like to have engraved on it?
When she left the room, people remembered her for being kind and making the room a happy place.
There you go. Aside from the basic necessities, what do you need every day to be happy?
My family and friends.
What positive adjectives would those family and friends use to describe you?
Kind, joyous, empathetic.
And what negative adjectives would your friends and family use to describe you?
Worries too much, which is not one word. Worries too much.
It's perfect.
That's a good one.
Yeah. I said you could use 10 words. That's perfect.
He sometimes worries way too much. It's ridiculous. There you go.
If you could live your life again, what would you do differently?
Not a thing.
Yes, Queen. All right. And have you read any good books or articles lately?
No, which is awful. I mean, I've been doing a lot of Zoom. I did read Patti LuPone's autobiography, which is a page turner.
Oh my gosh, yes. I
I
want to
have
read it.
so many books. I'm like, well, it's pandemic. I'll be reading. It's like,
Nope. Watching a lot of Netflix.
watching a lot of Netflix. Speaking of that, if you get really bored, Adam and I are on a new show for Spectrum called The Bite.
Oh, I've seen that. Oh, that's
Just premiered
exciting.
last night. We haven't seen it because we don't have Spectrum, so we have to really suck up to some people who do and invite ourselves over to their house.
Yes, you do. Or just get somebody's login. Anyway.
Will that work?
I think so.
Okay, great.
That's so cool. We'll give Adam Heller my best.
I will.
And your beautiful family, and thank them for allowing you to spend this time with us tonight.
It was my privilege. Again, I learn something every time. So thank you for letting me be a student tonight.
Oh my gosh. And Beth, I've said it at the beginning, I've said it my entire life. I really owe a lot to you in terms of inspiration. You inspired me to be an actor. You inspired me to be a brave actor. I wanted to be you when I was in high school. My senior year, I played Dolly Levi at Broughton High School on that same stage you did Brigadoon. But I like to say I played Beth Leavel playing Dolly Levi in Hello, Dolly. I robbed your performance and did exactly what you did.
Do it.
Just wanting
Do
you to
it.
know.
Oh
I
my
know how to
God,
steal
bless
from the
you.
best.
You steal from the best. Thank you for thinking that I'm the best. But
You
that's
are
a
the best.
compliment. See,
You are the best, and I'm so grateful for you, and thank you for being here. This was so informative and incredibly entertaining. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're clapping at home, clap for Beth Leavel. Thank you so much. And Beth, I will see you soon back in Raleigh.
Yes,
I hope
please.
very, very soon.
Yes, please. Take
Okay.
care of your hearts.
Thank you. Thank you so
Mwah.
much, Beth. Good
I'll
night.
see you soon, my sister.
Yes, you will. We had Beth Leavel. How cool is that? Tony Award winner, Raleigh, North Carolina native. Very exciting. Thank you for joining us tonight. What a fun conversation, and to hear from Carly, Elizabeth, and Allie Mae. I am just so, so grateful for you for joining us. And I want to say thank you to First Citizens. They are our virtual theater experience sponsor. First Citizens, we couldn't do it without you. Thank you for helping us do these virtual performances. And I wanted to remind you that tomorrow night we have a Living Room Live with Cameron Wade. She is a registered drama therapist, and it is Mental Health Month, and she's going to talk to us all about the work that she does. She's also an incredible performer, so she's going to sing for us tomorrow night. That is here on YouTube at 7:30, Monday, May 24th. So we'll see you there. And in the meantime, y'all, go get vaccinated. We're going to be gathering in rooms this summer in this very theater. So I want to see you here at all of our shows at Theater Raleigh this summer, 2021. And I hope you all taking good care of yourselves. And thank you for joining me and Beth here on Character Building. Thanks for supporting live theater. Good night, you guys.